Good morning, students, and welcome back to your English class. A mysterious man, Griffin, arrives at the local inn of an English village in West Sussex. The stranger wears a long sleeved thick coat and gloves. His face is hidden entirely by bandages, except for a pair of blue glasses and a fake pink nose. And he wears a wide brimmed hat. He is unfriendly and demands to be left alone. Griffin spends most of his time in his rooms working with a set of chemicals and laboratory apparatus. There enters a mysterious man, means a strange man, named Griffin. He reaches a local inn, means hotel of an English village in West Sussex. The stranger wears a long sleeved thick coat and gloves. What he wears? A long sleeved thick coat and gloves, and his face is hidden. He was wearing bandages on his face. His face was covered with bandages, except a pair of blue glasses were there he was wearing, and there was a pink nose. He was having a fake pink nose, and he wears a wide brimmed hat, means a flat hat. Okay, he's unfriendly. He's not all friendly, and he always he will always be alone. He spends most of his time in his rooms working with a set of chemical and laboratory apparatus. Many local town people believe this to be very strange. Mrs. Hall, his landlady, finally goes to demand that he pay his bill and quit the premises. Now, read what happens. And many local people, the local town people, felt him very strange. His behavior is very strange because he is all not at all friendly. He always spends his time in his room working with a set of chemical and laboratory apparatus. So all the people feels that it is strange. His behavior is strange. So what happened? Mrs. Hall, the landlady, went to him to demand him to pay the bill and to quit the premises, means to leave there, to leave the place. Now let us read what happens. In the early hours of Monday, Mr. Hall was surprised to see the stranger's door ajar and the bolts of the door open. He rapped at the stranger's door. There was no answer. He rapped again, pushed the door wide open, and entered. The room was empty. Only on the bedroom chair and along the rail of the bed were scattered the clothes and the bandages of their guest. His big hat, too, was hanging over the bedpost. Okay, then on early morning on one Monday, Mr. Hall came to see the door of the stranger was slightly open and the bolts of the front door are open. So he knocked at the door, but there was no reply from the side, from inside the room. There was no response. So he knocked again and then pushed the door, and he opened it and entered the room. Then, but what did he see? The room was empty. There was only his scattered clothes, bandages, big hat, only that he could find there. Hall went down and called out to his wife. Janny, he said, is not in his room. He isn't, and the front door is unbolted. And what's he doing without his clothes? Now he went down the um, went downstairs and he called his wife Janny, and he told that he is not in the room his door and the bolts were open, and he's asking her what he is doing without his clothes. That is most curious. Curious means unusual or strange. Who said Mrs. Hall? Mrs. Hall decided to go up and look for herself. At that time, they heard the front door open and shut, but they did not pay much attention. She set off first, and Mr. Hall followed. Someone sneezed on the staircase. Hall, following 6 steps behind his wife, thought his wife had sneezed. She thought that Hall had sneezed. She flung open the bedroom door and stood staring at the room. And they both went to look or to check her room. While going upstairs, they heard someone open and shut the front door, but they didn't mind that. And when they are going going upstairs, Mrs. Hall is walking in front, and Mr. Hall is following her. Now they heard some someone sneezing. Mrs. Hall thought it was Mr. Hall who sneezed, and Mr. Hall thought it was his wife who sneezed. She flung open the bedroom door and stood staring at the room. She bent forward and put her hand on the pillow and then under the clothes. Cold, she said. He has been up for an hour or more. She came to the bedroom. She opened the bedroom door and she stared at the room. And when she touched the clothes, she felt it is cold. So she thought that he has left before 1 hour. Then an then a most extraordinary thing happened. The bedclothes gathered together, leaped up suddenly and jumped over the bottom rail. It was exactly as if a hand had caught them and flung them aside. Then the stranger's hat hopped off the bedpost, whirled in the air, and then dashed straight at Mrs. Hall's face. The sponge from the washstand followed swiftly. Next, a chair leaped up, flinging the stranger's coat and trousers carelessly aside, laughing drily in a voice just like the stranger's. The chair turned itself up with its forelegs pointed at Mrs. Hall. It seemed to take aim at her for a moment and charged at her. She screamed and turned. The legs of the chair came gently but firmly against her back and forced her and Hall out of the room. The door slammed violently and was locked. While the couple, Mr. Hall and Mrs. Hall, was thinking about the empty room, what happened? The clothes of the stranger gathered together and jumped over the bottom rail, and the stranger's hat flashed towards Mrs. Hall's face. Other things in the room also came to life, and the furniture also started attacking the couple. And the chair pushed the couple outside the door. So the room and the door was slammed, closed violently, and was locked. The chair and bed seemed to dance in trim for a moment, and then abruptly everything was still. On the landing, Mrs. Hall almost fainted in Mr. Hall's arms. Ghosts, gasped Mrs. Hall. I know spirits. I have read in the papers of them. Tables and chairs leaping and dancing. What Mrs. Hall thought, the poor Mrs. Hall thought their furniture was haunted by spirits. Annie, come sit, said Hall. It will steady you, he said, leading her to the kitchen. I might have known, with them goggling eyes and bandaged head, and all those bottles. He's put the spirits into the furniture. My good old furniture, said Mrs. Hall. 'Twas in that very chair my poor dear mother used to sit when boy was a little girl. To think it should attack me, she sobbed. They sent Millie to wake up Mr. Sandy Wadgers, the blacksmith, who was a very clever man. "This is witchcraft, I believe," said Mr. Wadgers when he heard details of the incident. Mr. Hall and Mrs. Hall sent for Mr. Sandy Wadgers, who was a blacksmith, and he was also a clever man. He told, "This is witchcraft," he thinks. Suddenly, the most wonderfully, the door of the room upstairs opened on its own. As they looked up in amazement, they saw the muffled figure of the stranger descending the stairs. He came down stiffly and slowly, staring all the time with those large blue glass eyes of his. He walked across the passage, entered the parlor, and slammed the door hard in their faces. Now, suddenly, who came there? The strange man. He was wearing the same glasses, and he stared at them and slammed the door in their faces. They stared at one another. Soon news spread. The little group of scared but curious people increased at the inn. The stranger remained inside the parlor until near midday. Nobody went near him. About noon, he suddenly opened his parlor door and stood glaring at the 3 or 4 people in the bar. "Mrs. Hall," he called. Mrs. Hall appeared after an interval, a little short of breath, but angry. She came holding a little tray with a bill upon it. "Is it your bill you're wanting, sir?" she said. "Why wasn't my breakfast late? Why haven't you prepared my meals and answered my bell? Do you think I leave without eating?" There are a lot more scared or curious people when they saw the strange man. Now he came out of the parlor and he went to the bar. Now he is calling Mrs. Hall, and Mrs. Hall came with his bill, and she is asking him, "Is it your bill you are wanting, sir?" Now he is asking Mrs. Bill that where is her breakfast. Do they think that he can leave without eating? Mrs. Hall asks why he didn't pay the bill. Now the stranger tells that he told he is waiting for some money. He told it 3 days ago. Now she told, "I told you 2 days ago, and she can't wait longer. If you uh, can't wait for the breakfast you ask now, I can't wait for the bill because I have been waiting for 5 days." Now the stranger told some rude words. "And before I take any money or get in breakfast," said Mrs. Hall. And she also told that she wanted to know something more. What was that? She wanted to know what he had been doing with her chair upstairs, and how the room went empty. When she and her husband went there, the room was empty, right? And he was not there. But suddenly he came there. And how could this happen? All the people in the house went through and out through the doors. But how he is going out? She is asking him. The stranger raised his clenched clawed hands, stamped his foot, and said, "Stop," with such extraordinary violence that he silenced her instantly. Clenched means closed very tightly. Here his fist, usually when angry. Then what he did, he stamped his foot and he became angry and said to stop her. "You don't understand," he said, "who am or what am. I will show you. By heaven, I will show you." And what he said, "You don't know who am? I will show you who am." The stranger put his open palm over his face and withdrew it. The center of his face became a black hole. "Here," he said, and handed over something to Mrs. Hall. When she looked down, she screamed loudly and dropped it. It was the stranger's nose, pink and shiny. Then he removed his spectacles and everyone gasped. He took off his hat and tore off his whiskers and bandages. Oh my God, said someone. It was worse than they had expected. All they could see was a figure up to the collar of the coat and nothingness, no head at all. And what he did, he covered his face and took that, and there they could see only a black hole. And he gave something to Mrs. Hall, and when she looked at what was that, it was the stranger's nose. And then he removed his spectacles and bandages, and everyone was wondered, and everyone was gasped. What they could see only his. There was no head on his body, so it was an invisible man, right? Okay, now the story is adapted from The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. Okay, this is all about the story. You can see that in the picture. Okay, okay, let us take another chapter. Page number 39, chapter number 8, The Crocodile and the Monkey. On the Ganga's greenest isle lived Kurup the crocodile, greeny brown with gentle grin, stubby legs and scaly skin. He would view with tepid eyes prey below a certain size, but when a substantial dish, dolphin, turtle, fatter fish, swam across his field of view, he would test the water too. Out he would glide, a floating log, silent as a pollywog, nearer, till his prey swam a single length away. Starts with the introduction of the crocodile, Crow, who lives in the Ganga's greenest isle. It describes the how the crocodile looks like. About the skin as a greenish brown color. It has a scaly texture. It has a small stubby legs. He has a small stubby legs and gentle grin. Eyes hold an apathetic expression. He would long with smiling head, grab and snap and rip it dead. Then prime pleasure of his life drag the carcass to his wife, lay it humbly at her feet, eat a bit and watch her eat. Whenever Rope a prey is crossing the river, crossing by him, he will follow it silently until he reaches nearby it, and he will then catch it and give the prey to his wife, and he will eat and he will watch her eating. All along the river bank, mango trees stood rank on rank, and his monkey friend would throw to him as he swam below mangoes, gold and ripe and sweet, as a special summer treat. Crocodile, your wife, I know, hungers after mangoes, so that she would pine and weep and swoon. Mangolus is waning June. Then Kurup the crocodile, gazing upwards with a smile, this addressed his monkey friend, dearest monkey, in the end, not the fruit, but your sweet love, shower on us from above. Constant through the changing her years, slakes her grief and dries her tears. This was only partly true. She liked love and mangoes too. Here mentions the mango trees surrounded by the river, and there is a monkey who can climb up the mango tree, and he will throw the mangoes, ripe sweet mangoes, to the crocodile. He could take it to his wife. Monkey's kindness and consideration are shown through these lines, and he wants to wipe away crocodile's wife's tears. A hunger for sweet golden mangoes. The crocodile shows or tells the crocodile thanks him for throwing mangoes to him and his wife. He thanks the monkey for loving them by throwing the mangoes from the trees to the crocodile. One day Mrs. Crocodile gorged on mangoes with a smile. Sad yet tender, turned and said, Scaly-kins, since we have been wed, you have fulfilled my every wish. Dolphins, turtles, mangoes, fish, but I now decide to eat as an anniversary treat. Something sweeter still than fruit, sugarcane or sugar root. I must eat that monkey's heart. After eating the mango, Mrs. Crocodile told Mr. Crocodile that he had fulfilled all her wishes. Whenever she wanted dolphins, turtles, mangoes, and fish, he gave her it all. Now she is wishing for the monkey's heart as the anniversary gift from him. Now, here the poem ends. Okay, actually, but it's not complete. Okay, here in this chapter, the poem ends here by saying she wants the monkey's heart as the anniversary gift. Okay, this poem is written by Vikram Seth. Okay.